Hi Internet, my name is Julie. Welcome to the Knit Together Pod. This is obviously my first episode, and I am starting a knitting podcast all about things that I'm knitting, things I'm working on, things that I finished. I know there are a lot of these kinds of podcasts on the internet, and I thought it would be a really cool way to document all the things I'm working on. I have a Ravelry, but it's a little bit difficult to keep that updated. So I thought this might be a really nice way to keep an accurate record of what I've been working on. I can tell you a little bit about myself. So I started knitting in 2020. I think a lot of modern knitters, pandemic knitters, started around then when they had nothing to do. Since I've started, I've sort of discovered that I really like the knit stitch. I don't really like purling a lot. So things that work really well for me are things like colorwork sweaters in the round, or just sweaters in the round like this, or garter stitch flat. So I actually have a couple of those kinds of things to share today. During the day, I am an engineer, and so I also really like mathy things and technical things. So hopefully I'll be able to share some of that kind of stuff with you as well, as it relates to knitting. All right, so I think we can get started. Full disclosure, when I talk, my eyes tend to travel, and I know a common stumbling block or something that a lot of knitting YouTube people need to learn is to look at the camera and not the reflection of themselves. So that is something I am trying to keep an eye on. We can start with what I'm wearing now. This is the Festive Cardigan MKAL. I think that's what it's called. It's by Skeindeer Knits. This is a pattern that I think she released like very close to Christmas time last year. Recognized that it was not really enough time for people to knit the sweater, so she did a MKAL for the entire year, encouraging people to get their festive cardigans or pullovers knit during 2022. So this is, I think I knit a size 3 maybe is typically what I wear in Skeindeer, and you can see that the body is like ginormous. That's my fault, not the pattern's fault. I think I botched the math, so you can see that there's like an incomplete repeat here in the yoke, and then there's a complete repeat, so I think I have an extra repeat. So the body is bigger than it's supposed to be, and the sleeves are only have like maybe an inch or two of ease, whereas the body probably has, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 inches of ease, but it's really nice. I made this out of Knit Picks Wool the Andes Sport. The red color is hollyberry, and the white is just the bare undyed base. I should have mentioned in the sort of like about me section, but like a lot of people, I am on like a no-buy quest, on a kind of a stash down kind of project. Between like summer 2020 and then 2021, I realized that I purchased a lot of yarn and the pace at which I was buying yarn was probably not sustainable. So throughout 2022 and I think going into 2023, I'm going to continue trying to use the yarn that I already have. 2022, I also acquired the hobby of spinning. So that's also going to help produce more yarn that I'll have to get through. So anyway, so this yarn I had purchased in 2021, probably when Knit Picks was having a big sale. I prefer working with natural fibers, especially wool. So Knit Picks Wool the Andes is a fantastic workhorse, pretty budget-friendly yarn that I know I can turn to. This is the first time I worked with Knit Picks Wool the Andes Sport weight, and it worked really well. I think the colorwork motifs really work well. Wool of the Andes is, I think, to me, seems like a much more like worsted spun wool, so it the fibers are all aligned when they manufacture the yarn. So the stitch definition is really, really great. I like worsted and woolen spun wool, but for this especially, like the motifs look fantastic, which I am very, very happy about. Let's see, the inside looks like this. So color work is something that I really enjoy knitting, and so keeping float tension is something that I am also very, very cognizant of. Something that I've learned over the last couple of years. And then finally, I think last but not least, these buttons are, you can sort of see, if I get closer, you can probably see better. They're very sparkly, they're very kitschy. I bought them at a local yarn store close to where I grew up in Connecticut. They're from Driftwood Yarns in Groton, Connecticut, and they're very sparkly, and they, I think, look like sort of like snow or like icicles. So I think they work well with the loudness of the sweater. So yeah, so this is the Festive, I think it's called the Festive Cardigan MKAL, definitely by Skeindeer Knits, and it's what I'm wearing. I have something also in the Festive franchise of Skeindeer Knits coming up, at least I think, but we'll get to that. A lot of times all I want to do is cast on and get like, 25% of the way through a project and then give up and cast on something else. But recently, as the year has been coming to a close, I've been trying to cast things off and get things done. This sweater I probably cast on in the springtime, knit on it through the summer, and then cast off maybe 2 months ago, blocked it, and then I was short a couple buttons, so I had to order a couple more from Driftwood Yarns, and then finally knit them, sewed them on, and I think I wore this for the first time in public like November 1st or 2nd. Very excited after Halloween had finished. So yeah, this is for me a pretty recent finished object. I'll talk about another couple of finished objects that I completed in the last like 2 weeks. This shawl is I told you I like the knit stitch. This is a garter shawl. It's called Autumn by Annie Baker, and it is basically a garter and lace mesh shawl. It's pretty easy. It's an asymmetrical triangle. I made it out of just 100 gram skein of yarn. So this is a great like single skein de-stash yarn. This yarn is really special to me. It is from some random stall. Well, it's not random. It's from a farm called Wildly Farm. And my understanding is that they are a farm in upstate New York. I think this blend is Romney and Icelandic. I don't know if it's Romney Icelandic crossed sheep or if it's a blend of Romney and Icelandic. It's pretty rustic feeling. It's not soft, but it's actually got like pretty good drape, and that's because I blocked it pretty aggressively, and I did that with my blocking wires for the intention of getting the lace to block out, because eyelet lace typically is not this open if you don't block it and stretch it when you block it. Anyway, so this yarn is from Wildly Farm. I encountered them on a random trip to New York City. There was like a farmer's market in front of I think it's the Museum of Natural History by Central Park, like by Central Park West. There was like a farmer's market, and this was in September 2021. I was walking down with my friend and I saw yarn and I was like, I have to buy it. And it was a little pricey for me, probably in the high 20s or 30s range for a skein. So I bought one, I just bought one skein, but it worked out to this really, really beautiful shawl. I'm actually not much of a shawl knitter, but this traveled with me a lot. I did a little bit of going up and down the east coast of the US in November for just to see friends and to see family for Thanksgiving. So this was a really good accompaniment. It's a very, very easy pattern to learn. I keep touching it. It's a very, very easy pattern to learn. So once you sort of get the hang of it and know what's going on, I didn't really look at the pattern. It wasn't super crucial. So yeah, so this is Autumn Shawl by Annie Baker. Autumn Shawl by Annie Baker. It's really, really nice. And this is Wildly Farm Romney Icelandic sport weight yarn. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object is another shawl. All right, my next shawl is this monstrosity. It is the, I don't know if you can see, there's no way you can see the whole thing. It's a monstrosity. This is the Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. It's done except for I haven't woven any of the ends. The Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West has two sizes. There's a small and a large. There's two sizes. I made something in between. It's much closer to the large size, I think, than the small size. And it is also a garter stitch shawl. I told you I like the knit stitch. It's really cool because you can see that the direction of knitting goes in different directions. So you actually start with this panel here, and then sort of you basically pick up stitches along different edges and go different ways. Overall, you move from this corner across to this corner. But yeah, it was really fun. It is also a fairly simple knit. Most of the time when I had to look at the instructions was when I was starting a new section or had put it down for a while and needed to pick it back up and didn't remember like what the increase or decrease pattern was. But besides that, it's mostly knitting back and forth to make garter stitch. The yarn I used for this is also a Knit Picks yarn. This is Knit Picks Gloss Fingering. It's I think it's 70% merino or 70% wool, 30% silk. In 2021 as well. I bought all the yarn in 2021. In 2021, I had purchased a color set from them. When they were having a big sale. I think it was called like the Rainbow. So they like matched a bunch of these jewel tones together. And it was like really quite inexpensive. It was a really good deal, so I purchased it. And then I think the white didn't come with it. That's also their bare yarn. So yeah, this was I won't say it's a quick knit because it's a lot of stitches. It's a ginormous beast, but it's also really nice if you need knitting that you don't need to think a lot about. And yeah, I think it'll be really nice. I think I mentioned earlier, I am not much of a shawl knitter, so it's funny that the two finished objects I have to share are both shawls. But I think they'll be nice for the winter that's coming up. It'll be nice to have something warm around my neck. So, Vertices Unite, Stephen West. Now that I'm looking at it, I will weave in the ends when I finish recording this. All right, so those are my two finished objects. I have a couple of works in progress that I am trying to get through. One is very old and one is very new. So I'll start with the old one. these are, I don't have sock blockers, I'm sorry. This is one finished sock that I have. It has this really cool lace motif going down the foot, going down the front of the leg and down the foot. It is the Emma Woodhouse sock by Anna Baranby. She is, I think she's designing like 12 or for some reason I'm thinking 13 as well, like there's a bonus sock. Like basically a sock per month this year that are expected to be released next year. And I think they're all named and inspired by Jane Austen characters. So this is Emma Woodhouse from Emma. Well, you can't see anything. This is Emma Woodhouse from Emma. I'm on our testnet like email group. You can sign up for that on her podcast. And it's got just a really neat and fairly easy lace panel. If I can do it, anyone can do it. The yarn I'm using is a skein that I dyed myself. I think it's Cloudborn, like super sock twist or something like that. But I also think Cloudborn is a brand that does not exist anymore. For at least for probably my entire knitting career. It has been or is on like clearance at Webs, yarn.com. And I feel like I remember reading on the internet that it is no longer producing yarn. But what I'm trying to say is I think it's a superwash and nylon blend, 75-25 or 80-20. It's probably superwash because this has gone through the washer dryer by accident. I'll get into that story later. And I dyed it with Kool-Aid. You probably heard that I have a lot of bear yarns in my stash, and that's partly because I sort of enjoy the experimentation of dyeing. I don't have any like chemical acid dyes. I basically only use Kool-Aid and food coloring because I don't really have the space to keep dedicated equipment, and I'm sort of scared of the powders. So Kool-Aid's fun because sometimes your yarn smells like Kool-Aid for a little bit. This does not, but it looks like grape Kool-Aid, and that's what it is. I think the lighting's a little funky. That's probably a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit brighter, I would say. It's a little bit less gray than it's showing up on the camera right now. So this is my first sock. It's finished. I probably took 3 weeks to finish it. I'm not much of a sock knitter at all. It's knit top down with a heel flap and gusset. And sorry, had to get interrupted. Anyway, I don't know where I was going. I don't know what I was talking about. I finished this sock pretty quickly, all things considered. That was in June or July. This sock is the one that I'm actually working on. This sock took a couple L's. You can see here actually a little better. It's top down. When I was probably like halfway through the heel flap, I was visiting my friend in North Carolina. We went kayaking. It was great. I took my knitting, kayaking, along with some drinks and stuff like that in like my bag. And afterwards, I wanted to wash my bag in the laundry machine, and completely forgot that my knitting and my AirPods were in that bag. So washing machines, they do a spin cycle. And this project took so many L's in the washing machine. It was originally on, I think like Knitter's Pride ginger needles, like size 1 or size 1.5, like 9-inch circulars or 12-inch circulars, little guys. Those needles snapped. The yarn ball or the whatever's left on the yarn cake spun around the handles of my bag. I assume like one time with every revolution that the washing machine spun. So that was horrible. I spent the flight back from North Carolina basically detangling yarn and trying to pick up stitches wherever I could. When I got back, I decided that I'm never again buying wooden tiny needles. So I got the Chaogu. I think this is 1, 2, 3. It's probably 9-inch circular set to finish these. The process of picking up stitches, for some reason my stitch counts were wrong, so this sat unloved between July and the very end of November, so 4 months, more than 4 months it went unloved. But like I said, I'm trying to get through, I'm trying to get projects off the needles. I have like interchangeable set, but I have one, and I don't have boatloads and boatloads of needles. So if I want to get back into knitting other socks, I need to free this sock off the needles. So yeah, Emma Woodhouse socks, Emma Baranby. She has lots of socks coming out next year, which is really exciting. This is hand dyed, probably a superwash nylon blend, hand dyed using grape Kool-Aid. All right, so that's my really old one. Okay, my much newer work in progress is from a yarn that I bought this year. So this year I'm supposed to not buy yarn, but sometimes they're just so beautiful. They're so beautiful, and I only buy them in person, and they have to be special for some reason. So the yarn I'm just going to show you now, and a yarn for a future project, I did buy both this year. Okay, so this is a cake of yarn. It is from, probably see, hopefully, it's from Middlebrook Fiberworks. It's called the Vintage number 8, and it is a blend of many things. It's a blend of Shetland wool, fine wool, silk, and ramie. Middlebrook Fiberworks is a sheep farmer and a fiber artist, yarn producer near me in New Jersey. And I met the owner, Annie, at the New Jersey Fiber Shed Fiber Fair in October, I think. This yarn was beautiful. So it's called Vintage number 8 because every shearing, she owns Shetland, a herd of Shetland sheep, and with every shearing she tries to create a new yarn. So this in the hank was so squishy and so bouncy. It's just a 2-ply. It's a 2-ply, like sport weight. Can't really see. Do the internet person thing. You can sort of see. It's just a 2-ply, but it is so round and so bouncy and so nice, and I had to buy it. So I bought 2 hanks, 200 gram hanks, so 200 grams in total. And I was like, you know, with this yardage, I can probably make a t-shirt. I don't really have a wool t-shirt, but this would be really nice. So I went on Ravelry, put in the yardage I had, and I found this. It doesn't look like much right now, but this is going to be, or is, the Rift tee, R-I-F-T tee by Jackie Cieslak. Jackie Cieslak is a size-inclusive designer who has really interesting designs. This is the first thing that I've knit from her, but it is a bottom-up tee. I've actually never knit. It's bottom-up tee. It's bottom-up in the round, and then right now I'm working flat, the front and back separately. I've never done that before, so this is exciting. I think my gauge swatch and my actual project have different gauges, so I'm gonna need to decide if I'm gonna aggressively block or what. It has this really cool, like, sort of see, it has this really cool like faux seam on the sides, so it's gonna look really cool. She also has, Jackie Cieslak is, like I mentioned, a really size inclusive designer, and based on what I saw in the pattern for sizes that are larger, she has recommendations for like bust starts and I think another modification, bust starts and like custom bicep sizing, if that's something that you're interested in. For me, I think I'm gonna go straight with what the pattern, like the default recommendation, but it was really cool to see that. So Rift Tee, made from the Middlebrook Fiberworks vintage number 8 sport weight yarn. So yeah, I'm super excited. I started this probably the weekend before Thanksgiving. Worked on it a lot over Thanksgiving week. Have not worked on it since post Thanksgiving, but now that like all my shawls are done, actually recently I've been working on socks, but I'm hoping to get this done before the end of December. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Okay. And then one other thing that I really want to cast on today. So I guess I told you that I am recently in a mood of finishing things, but also I like to cast things on. I am going to cast on the Festive Mittens Mystery Knit Along from Skeindeer Knits. I'm on her email newsletter list, and she said that the name is a big clue. So this was the Festive cardigan, so I assume it's gonna have a lot of the same motifs. I'm very excited. She said to pick out festive colors, so I tried. I can only go off of what I have in my stash, and so I'm gonna use these. These are the Rauma Phenol like Norwegian sport weight yarns, woolen spun sport weight yarns that Skeindeer Knits uses a lot in her designs. I bought these basically inspired by that. I bought them early this year when I was in Seattle. Seattle has Seattle historically has been a place where Nordic immigrants, I think specifically Norway, have immigrated to. Historically, maybe still now, I'm not sure. And that's because Seattle and Norway are both pretty far north. They're pretty rainy. They are pretty gray. And fishing is a big industry there. So there was like a little Norway section, I think just outside of Seattle, where I saw a phenol yarn for the first time, and I really wanted to pick it up. So even though I have my no-buy rule, I controlled myself and only bought 2 balls of phenol. So this white color is 0401, and then the blue is 0438, and I think they'll make really nice mittens. The first clue, today's the 3rd of December, and the first clue is already out, so after I record this, I will weave in the ends on my Vertices Unite shawl, and then I'll cast this on. I saw the first clue has Latvian braids, so I'm excited to do that. I've never done that before. Yeah, this is a plan. All right, And then lastly, I think a lot of podcasters show their acquisitions. I am trying not to acquire yarn, so hopefully this holds me to that goal for the rest of this year. This year I have a couple more things in mind, actually, because I might do a little bit of traveling, but those will be planned purchases. Anyway, hopefully the podcast keeps me to my very, very limited buy yarn acquiring. In the meantime, I have gotten into books, and specifically books about spinning. I bought them both over the Thanksgiving capitalist mass commercialism weekend. The first is the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook. So I've heard a lot of good reviews about this book. It says the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook, more than 200 fibers from animal to spun yarn. So I already started flipping through it. It does seem incredible, just like people say. It goes through 200 breeds of sheep and other fiber producing animals, and each breed has like a spread on history, on characteristics, facts, pictures of the fiber, like raw, straight off the fleece, gleaned, plied, knit up, woven for a lot of them, and they're just all so cute. They're so cute. There are a lot of breeds that I've sort of heard of but don't really know anything about, so I'm really excited to learn more in the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook. Alright, and then the other book is another reference book that I've heard a lot of good things about. It's called Yarnitecture by Jillian Moreno. The subtitle is The Knitter's Guide to Spinning, Building Exactly the Yarn You Want. And that is what I want to do. I started spinning this year, like I mentioned. I have an electric eel wheel 6 from Dream Robots. It's a wheel that worked for my budget, that is fairly portable if I want to take it with me for any reason, or even up and down stairs. It is also an electric wheel, so there's no treadling. I'm not super coordinated, so I wasn't super confident that learning a new skill that had to do with my hands and feet was gonna work. So it's nice that I just need to turn it on and it goes. I follow some other YouTube podcasts, like I follow Andrea Mowry's. She's gotten really into spinning recently. And Emma Baranby, who I'm testing the socks for, she's gotten really into spinning recently, and they are spinning beautiful yarns, and I want to spin beautiful yarns. So I picked up this book to sort of understand better how I can intentionally create yarns that will provide the knitting experience that I want. So yeah, Yarnitecture, Jillian Moreno. All right. That's almost everything I wanted to talk about today. That's almost everything I wanted to talk about today. I think the content of these podcasts will probably change as I figure out what works well for me. So we'll see. The one other thing I wanted to include with these is like a tip of the day, things that I have encountered or maybe come up with myself that work really well for me and my knitting. So the first is today I just want to talk about estimating the amount of yarn that you need for a long tail cast on. For a long time I didn't use the long tail cast on, I used the knitted cast on, because the only way I found to do the long tail cast on was using like the pincer grip or the claw grip or something like that. Boomerang? I don't know. And that did not work for me. Now I know how to do it, but for a long time it didn't. So I was using knitted cast on, and the knitted cast on, you can make the slip knot like right here, and you just cast on stitches. For long tail cast on, you need a long tail, because you need a long tail, and you're knitting with both sides of it. What I found works really, really well, sorry, the only needles I have are the ones attached to my tee, is to estimate if you need to cast on 90 stitches. You can take a little bit of tail and wrap it around your needle 10 times as an estimate, with approximately like the spacing that your final stitches will have, like approximately the gauge that you're looking for, because if they're too tight, then your cast on edge is going to be tighter than the rest of your knitting. If it's too loose, then it'll be really gappy. So, you know, wrap it around 10 times, approximately the spacing that you're going to want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 times. And then pinch it off the needle. That's approximately the amount of yarn that you'll need from one of the tails of your long tail cast on. So if I was to cast on like 90, I would go like this 9 times, give myself like 4 inches extra, and put my slip knot in and start casting on. So yeah, that's my tip of the day. And yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And like I said, the content of these videos is probably going to change as I figure out, you know, what works for me, what I want to document, and if anyone watches these, what people are interested in. All right, and on that note, if anyone's watching, I'll leave my Ravelry down below. Feel free to add me as a friend, I guess, and we can sort of, you know, keep an eye on what everyone's making. I don't really Instagram, but I'll leave that below as well. Feel free to leave a comment letting me know what you liked and, you know, what you might want to see. And yeah, I'll probably make another video in about 2 weeks. Hopefully there'll be some progress. Hopefully my sock will be done. That'll be really exciting, and maybe my mittens will be underway. So yeah, great. Thanks for watching the first video. I hope this was entertaining. I don't knit at a lightning speed like a lot of people on YouTube do, so maybe this is a little bit more relatable. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.